Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to the Explainer, everyone. Today, we are popping the hood and completely demystifying the architecture of Microsoft Agent 365. If you're an enterprise security leader or an IT pro, well, this is exactly the foundational stuff you need to securely deploy autonomous AI agents, without completely losing your mind. We're going to look closely at how this all works so you can confidently govern these incredibly powerful new tools.
Right off the bat, we've got to clear up a pretty huge misconception. A lot of folks out there think Agent 365 is some massive new AI model or this heavy execution engine. It's actually not at all. It operates strictly as a governance control plane. Think of it kind of like the air traffic controller at a really busy airport. The control plane handles the management and the policy, while the Runtime Data Plane, places like Azure AI Foundry or Copilot Studio, well, those are the airplanes. They handle the actual execution, the prompt orchestration, and all the heavy lifting of the large language models. And honestly, this totally decoupled setup, it's exactly what gives you centralized control over a massive multi-cloud fleet of agents.
And this perfectly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. You can see the governance control plane funneling right through the Agent 365 central hub, which is entirely distinct from the data plane handling the actual compute. So what's happening is the control plane simply intercepts the metadata. It manages the active identities and evaluates your policy templates, but it does all this without ever directly orchestrating the execution loop itself. It is literally an incredibly elegant way to make sure your enterprise policies are strictly enforced, totally regardless of where the actual computing power is coming from. Now, this next point is going to be a huge sigh of relief for IT teams everywhere. Agent 365 doesn't reinvent your enterprise security. It just extends it. Seriously, you don't need to tear down your existing infrastructure or learn some completely foreign security paradigm from scratch. Instead, Agent 365 acts as a unified orchestration layer. It seamlessly binds these new autonomous agent operations directly to the exact security services your enterprise is already invested in, and more importantly, the ones you already trust.
So how does this actually come together under the hood? Well, the platform leans on 4 core infrastructure layers, basically the 4 security pillars, to orchestrate everything. We've got Microsoft Entra ID for identity, Microsoft Purview for data security, Microsoft Defender for runtime threat protection, and Microsoft Intune for device endpoint posture. By leaning on these 4 pillars, Agent 365 has every single angle of agent governance covered. Let's break down exactly how each one functions in this wild new AI landscape.
Pillar number 1 is Microsoft Entra ID. And listen, identity is not an afterthought here, it is the absolute foundation. Through Microsoft Entra Agent ID, these tools shift from being unmanaged wildcard bots into first-class enterprise identities. It's kind of like giving your AI agent its very own employee ID badge. Admins can create these agent blueprints that issue scoped, time-bound access tokens. So whether it's an interactive agent working right alongside a user or an autonomous background agent just doing its own thing, it has a strict, least privilege identity profile managed right there inside Entra.
Moving right along, we have Pillar 2, Microsoft Purview. When you've got agents querying databases and summarizing complex documents at literal machine speed, well, traditional access boundaries just aren't going to cut it. So Purview steps in as the ultimate data bodyguard. It enforces what's called inherited protection. Basically, if a document has a strict sensitivity label, the agent absolutely must be granted explicit view and extract rights to process it. Toss data loss prevention, or DLP, into the mix, and Purview will actively block agents if they try to do something crazy, like, say, accidentally email your Q3 financial projections to a bunch of unauthorized people. Nobody wants that.
And that brings us to Pillars 3 and 4, which are all about tackling active threats and device health. First, acting as your active shield is Microsoft Defender. Agents introduce completely new attack vectors, things like prompt injections or malicious tool invocation. Defender is actively detecting and blocking these unsafe actions in real time. Then, stepping up as the health inspector, we have Microsoft Intune, because an agent doesn't just exist in a vacuum, right? It's invoked from a device. And Intune makes sure that specific device is actually healthy and fully compliant before anything happens.
Let's actually zoom in a bit on Intune's role here, because endpoint context is absolutely critical. Think about it. An agent invoked from a heavily compromised, bring-your-own-device personal laptop? That represents a vast different risk profile than one triggered from a lockdown corporate workstation. Intune gives admins crucial visibility into shadow AI. Because, let's face it, employees are always going to try to download unsanctioned browser extensions to work a little faster. Intune spots these and applies app protection policies, so your corporate data doesn't accidentally bleed out into some unapproved, totally unmanaged AI tool.
Now, what's really interesting about this next piece is how the control plane actually sees all of this happening across such a huge, diverse ecosystem. That is where the telemetry engine comes into play. If you're using native Microsoft platforms like Copilot Studio, telemetry just naturally flows into the Agent 365 observability backend. Automatically, zero effort required from you. But if your dev teams are out there building custom external agents on multi-cloud services, no problem. They simply integrate the Agent 365 SDK. This uses Open Telemetry or OTel semantic conventions to make sure consistent traces, logs, and metrics are seamlessly exported right back to your central control plane.
So what's the bottom line here? The crucial takeaway is that Microsoft Agent 365 empowers you to completely embrace the age of autonomous AI, but without compromising an inch of your security posture. It takes that rigorous enterprise-grade protection you already know from Entra, Purview, Defender, and Intune, and it natively extends it across your entire agent fleet. It ensures your data stays safe, your identities are strictly verified, and your business can just keep innovating securely at the speed of AI. But of course, once you've got your architecture locked down and fully governed, the very next question for any business leader is all about the bottom line. With all this governance secured, how exactly are these autonomous agents going to impact your licensing models and your overall cost architecture? Well, that is a massive puzzle all on its own, and it's exactly what we'll be tackling next time as we dive deep into the financial mechanics of deploying these secure agents. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.